Hi, I'm Darrin Cook of Big Stick Combat. A viewer sent me a link to a very interesting group called Guided Chaos. I'm including a link to this video in the description below. So very interesting. He noticed in his video he's using a T-handle cane and a knob cane. He does not at any point use a crook handle cane. That's the one like the candy cane that's got the classic shepherd's hook on the end of it. And I think that's very solid. In the video to come up, I'm going to explain why the crook handle cane is actually the very worst cane you can use. And yet I see some of the cane masters people and other people, they may have very solid techniques. I'm not trying to tear down anybody, but I think their business model, or a large part of their business model, is selling the crook handle canes. And frankly, I just don't think that's the best cane you can buy, no matter how they want to dress it up and add these supposed combat features. I think a T-handle cane and a knob cane is going to be much better. Now, the guy who started out says, number one, we're not going to be doing a whole lot of swinging. So notice here, and I was meaning to get outside and haven't been able to. Well, sure, I'm in cramped circumstances. It's difficult for me to do the swinging. It's just not, and furthermore, just simply it's not as powerful. Notice when I swing one-handed, I create this opening. Now, if I swing two-handed, what happens here is I'm blocking off the body. You can't, it's harder for you to get to me. Notice I'm covered. Notice that even in this kind of cramped corner, I can still hit very powerfully with these overhand strikes two-handed. So I think the guy in Guided Chaos is very correct. You really don't want to be doing the swinging. And yet I see guys on the cane videos are doing a lot of swinging and twirling and figure eights. It's just not a strong technique, and keep in mind, particularly for the people who really need the cane, if you hit, 70 plus years old and you've got bad hips, one-handed figure eight with a cane is just not going to be a very good technique for you. He also says we're not going to be doing hooking. This kind of bit where you're going to hook the neck. And I agree with that. My simple phrase is, don't be a hooker. Let's imagine I'm the attacker. Somebody's going to reach past my throat and put this cane on my neck. Again, if this person is smaller than me, person is younger than me, person has a cane because he or she has got hip problems, knee problems, skeletal problems, are they really going to be able to out-wrestle me if I'm a young, buff guy and somebody hopped up on drugs? Are they going to be able to out-wrestle me by hooking me behind the neck? I don't think so. But notice what happened. In order to hook my neck, this cane has to travel past my throat to get to the back of my neck. Now let's just ask this question. For the person who's 60, 70 years old, bad health, just plainly for anybody who may be outmatched on the street, is it more effective to punch this into an attacker's throat or to reach around to the back of his neck and try to hook him and drag him around? I think the answer is obvious. So now he gets to his opening gambit. This is what they call the opening gambit, meaning move one. He brings this up. He's going to bring this cane up, catch it with his hand. Already I like this. Now remember I was talking about how powerful this pistol grip thrust is. Notice also importantly, unlike some people who are just, I immediately want to get two hands on that cane. And that's exactly what Guided Chaos does. To me that's very strong. I always want to get, as soon as something's going down, I immediately want to get a second hand on this cane. I always want to have two hands on it. That's just, logic is going to tell you, that's stronger than trying to swing this around one-handed or trying to thrust one-handed. Pop it up, and then now he says we're going to first thrust center mass. Yes, right on. I agree with that completely. We want to do a high percentage shot. I may try to go up for the face, but that's a small target. People's heads are very mobile. As a general rule, the lower you get, particularly, I like to keep this low. In my thinking, with the lower I get this, the pelvis is going to be a lot more stable, move a lot more slowly than something like a person's head. So in my thinking, he says center of mass, I like to go even lower. I can do multiple thrusts. The beauty of a thrust is that notice all this energy is focused right here on this point. Now later on when I come up to the face, I can come up to the face Notice what happens. This is the profile. When I swing like this, you see this stick, right? You see the whole length of the stick. It's easy to detect that coming. When I pop this up and this moves straight in, you just see just the tip of that stick. That's very, very deceptive. And particularly if I've opened him up with a couple low line thrusts, now come up high as he reaches down, that's a very strong technique. He also adds a technique that honestly I hadn't thought of, but he's popping this. Another option would be to pop this up, particularly into the face. It's not a killing blow, but notice I use to ward off his hands, pop him in the face, and then now again resort to my thrusting. Now in the next video, I'm going to talk about a technique he now goes into the wrap, and I have some differences there with guided chaos on that one. But so far what I've seen in this video is very solid. And the last thing I should say is, you could ask, well, did I copy them? Did they copy me? Are we offshoots of the same style? Because I think a lot of what we do is very similar. But I think if you get rid of the ego, in other words, I'm going to come up with techniques and not try to impress you. I'm just going to think very solidly what works. What's the most effective techniques I can do? Particularly if I'm at a disadvantage, particularly if I'm weak, particularly if this is my younger, much smaller daughter doing this technique. I think if you have a combat sense and you're honest, you're just going to come up with solid techniques. And I forgot that he demonstrates the hammering, just like I showed earlier. So Guided Chaos, I think, is a very solid group. Check out my upcoming video for the wrap.